Here is our warm-up for today. So in number 1, with substitution, the first thing we look for is if there's a variable by itself. There's none already by itself, which means we need to find the easiest one to get by itself. And the easiest one here would be this y, because it's almost by itself. We just have to get rid of the 2x. So I'm going to write this equation below. And to get the y by itself, we're going to subtract the 2x since it's positive. So this equation is now y equals negative 2x plus 7. So I'm going to insert this into the second equation to replace y. So the second equation starts off as 3x minus 2, and then I run into y. So I take y out and I replace it with what it's equal to, which is negative 2x plus 7. And then continue writing the rest of the equation. So now we would need to distribute. Hopefully you noticed you're distributing a negative 2, not a positive 2. So I have 3x now plus 4x minus 14, and that's now equal to negative 7. Well, 3x plus 4x makes 7x. Add 14 to both sides. So 7x is now equal to a positive 7. So last step would be to divide both sides by 7. So x equals 1. So now that we have x, we need to go back and find y. So I'm going to go back to one of the original equations. I'm going to go back to the top one. And it's going to be 2 times x, which is 1, plus y equals 7. Well, we know 2 times 1 is, of course, 2. Subtract 2 on both sides. So y is 5. So the ordered pair for this one would be 1 for the x and 5 for y. Make sure you're marking your answer correct with the star or check mark and fixing it if it's wrong. Number 2, we look to see what variable is by itself, and this time both y's are by itself. Well, think about that. If a y is by itself, that means y would be equal to y. But that doesn't help us solve anything. I do know, though, that this first y, which is this one, is equal to 5x. So I'm going to replace that with 5x. And I know that the other y is the same as 2x plus 3. So I'm going to replace that y with 2x plus 3. And now I can solve this for x. So we're going to get our variables on the same side together. So I have 3x is equal to 3. Divide by 3 means x is equal to 1. Again, doesn't always happen that way. So now we take x, plug it back into either equation. I'm going to go back to the top. So y is equal to 5 times x, which is 1. So amazingly enough, these happen to have the exact same answers. 1, 5. Going over your homework from last night, remember you can pause this whenever you need to. Number 1, the y was already by itself on top, so you were substituting it in and getting answers of 3 and 8. Number 2, the x in the first equation would have been the easiest variable to solve for. It's not the only one you could have solved for, but it is the easiest. So that's where they got this equation, negative 2y plus 6. When we plug that in, and again, you're more than welcome to always delete their boxes, we ended up with the statement of 12 equals 12, which is infinitely many. 3, 4, 5. Number 3 is negative 3, 5. 4 is 1, 6. And number 5 is 3, 6. So go ahead, take a moment, look through the work, and give each other help as needed to figure out the answers if you got it wrong. Today we're going to be talking about word problems with linear systems. We did some with graphing, we'll do some with substitution, and we'll do some with the next type of process for solving systems as well. So our first one, which they've worked out for us, is we have a family fitness center that has a $50 enrollment fee and costs $30 per month. So that's the enrollment fee plus the monthly fee, and we don't know how many months, so it's 30M. A different center does not charge you an enrollment fee, so that's the 0. It charges you $40 per month, so plus 40M. Now obviously we don't need the 0, so we can just write it as 40M. Now since we're setting them equal to each other, because we want to know when the cost would be the same, we go 50 plus 30M for the first option, equals the second of 40M, and then solve for M. And then once we solve for M, which is the number of months, we want to know what the cost would be. So we would plug that back in to either one, and the 40M would be the easier one. So 40 times 5 tells us the cost would be 200 when they would be the same. So that means that any month after the 5th month, the first option would actually be cheaper. So now we're going to do question number 11 together, and then we'll try one on your own in just a minute. So we have internet providers here. One, and I'm going to call that I. So our first one has a setup fee of $30 and charges $40 per month. So that's an additional fee, and we don't know how many months, so that's M. The second provider has a $60 setup fee, but only charges $30 a month. So you pay more at the beginning, but then you pay less every month. And it does ask us in how many months will the cost be the same. Now notice it doesn't ask us what that cost would be. So once I find M, I'm actually done for this problem. So since they're both internet providers and we want to find out when they're the same, we're going to set the two equations equal to each other. So 30 plus 40M equals 60 plus 30M. We're going to get our variables on the same side. So I'm going to take that 30M and move it over to the 40M. Since I have to cross the equal sign, we're going to do the opposite. So I have 30 plus 10M equals 60. To start solving for M, we're going to subtract 30. So 10M is equal to 30. Divide by 10. M equals 3. So how many months? The answer is 3 months. Again, to find the cost, we would plug that 3 back into either equation, but it doesn't ask us what the cost is, so we only have to find half the problem. So flipping over to page 290, we're going to look at number 6. I want you to go ahead and try that problem out, check with a neighbor as you go along, and then unpause this when you're ready to check your answers. So here we have 2 lawn care services, and they're trying to figure out which one will end up being the better deal. The first lawn care is a $49 startup plus $29 every month. The other one is a $25 startup, so you're paying less up front, but $37 per month. And again, the question is how many months will it be the same, and then what will that cost be? So you should have found not just the M, but also the cost for this one. So since we're looking for the same, you should have set them equal to each other. and then solve for m. So I'm going to subtract 29m. Again, that's not the only way you could have done this. So I have 49 is now equal to 25 plus 8m. So then we're going to subtract 25. So we now have 24 is equal to 8m. Divide by 8. So 3 months is when the charges would be the same. To find that cost, you should have plugged it into either equation. It wouldn't matter. I'm just going to go back to the first. So 49 plus 29 times 3. Well, 29 times 3 is 87. Add the 49 to it is $136. So at 3 months, both lawn care companies would have charged you $136. You should have a good amount of time left in class, so go ahead and get started on your homework for tonight, checking with each other as you're working on it.